Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So that means cutting on my vegetables and making things that take a little bit longer. So today I'm going to make some soup, some salsa, and some coleslaw. So I'm going to start off by slicing up an onion for my soup. And we'll just get started on the menu. So for lunch today, I'm gonna have some bao buns. I just bought them. I'm not making them myself. So just to keep it simple. And then for dinner tonight, I'm gonna have some shawarma. So with some pita, some salad, peppers, onions. And speaking of onions, here I have one red one. And I'm also going to slice this up for things like fajitas and some pasta, etc. So we're on Monday, meatless Monday. For lunch, I'm going to have some tomato soup. So I'm just going to make that today, so tomorrow I just need to warm that through. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some vegetarian fajitas. I have some fake chicken, so I'll use that with peppers, onions, garlic, etc. So and then I need one more red onion, but this one I'm going to dice, and that's for some coleslaw. So speaking of coleslaw, that's what I'll have for lunch on Monday, Tuesday, sorry, with maybe a pork chop, maybe some chicken. We'll see what I feel like at the moment. And then for dinner, I do Taco Tuesdays. So I'm going to make some tacos with beef. And with that, I'm going to have a salsa. So I'll put that in a big container that I'm also going to make my coleslaw in. Then I have some shallots. These are going to go in my salsa. I'm going to make a chunky salsa. So I'm just going to give these a rough chop because I don't want everything too fine once I blitz it. I'll just do 4 shallots. And these can go directly in my little mini food processor. And also I'll add a few cloves of garlic to that. Another couple of cloves of garlic with my soup ingredients. Don't need to cut those. Then I'll cut these cloves for my fajitas, pasta, etc. So we were on Wednesday. For Wednesday, I'm going to do a low-carb stir-fry with some, it's called zero-carb rice. It's not actually rice. It's made from konnyaku. But it does not have any carbs. So I'll use that with the chicken and just the veggies. And then for dinner, I'm going to make some pasta with some chicken, some cream cheese, lots of veggies. Then we're on Thursday. For lunch, I'm going to do more coleslaw because I'm just going to make a big batch. And then for dinner, I'm going to make some burgers. And then we're on Friday. Again, coleslaw, this time with some grilled fish. And then for dinner, I'm going to do a mixed grains with broccoli and some salmon. And I'm going to marinate that salmon in some sesame oil, soy sauce, that kind of stuff. So here I have some spring onions, well, one, and that's going to go in my salsa, but I don't want this to blend up. I want this chunky, so I'll just add that later. Let's just give that a rough chop. There we go. What are we going to do next? For the soup, let's do some celery, so just take off the tips. I'm going to blend my soup so it doesn't need to be super fine. Just want it fine enough that it blends easily. So that can also go in with my soup ingredients. Next up I have some carrots. So I'll take 3 of these bigger ones. Take the little tip off. And then here I have my julienne slicer. And I'm just going to julienne that. Then you could grate it as well. That's going in with the diced red onion for my coleslaw. Alright, that is plenty. Put that aside. Then I have a whole bunch of other carrots. Take a little tip off, and these are going to go in my stir fry and my pasta and my soup. So these I'll cut fine for my stir fry, etc. And these I'll cut a little bit coarser, and these are just going to go in my soup. Next up, I have a whole bunch of chilies. Again, for my fajitas, for my stir fry, for my salsa, for my pasta. So these jalapenos, I'm going to take the seeds out because those are annoying. And this red one, I'm just going to slice. That can go in my soup. And I'm using red for the color. And these other jalapenos I'm going to dice up. And I'll put one in my salsa, for example. And the other jalapenos I'll just slice for my pasta and for my fajitas. And then I have these cayenne. I'm not going to bother taking the seeds out because they don't bother me. But I'll just slice those up. Then next up I have a bunch of peppers. These are sweet peppers, not hot. And I just have some different colors. So one red one I'm going to use with my soup. I'm just going to take the seeds out, slice it up, so that can go in with my soup ingredients. Then I need some slices or strips, and I need some dices since I have multiple colors. I'm going to take half of this red and dice it for my stir fry. And the other half I'll just slice for things like my fajitas and pasta. And then I'll do the same with this orange one. I'll use some for dice and some for slice. And then this yellow one I'll just slice. You know what, because I have 2 tiny green ones, I'll dice one and slice one. Next up, I have some tomatoes, and I need those for my salsa and for my soup. So for the salsa, I'm just going to take the seeds out, and I'll give that a quick chop, because I don't want to over blend it. And this can go directly in my mini food processor, and I'll just do 2 tomatoes. Just take the seeds out and slice it up. There we go, that can go to the side. And then I have a few more tomatoes. Those are gonna go in my soup. So let's just cut those into large chunks. And I'm not putting those in with my soup ingredients just yet, because I want to saute those first before I add a lot of liquid with the tomatoes. 4 tomatoes is probably enough. Then next up I have some cilantro. So let's just chop that up. That's going to go in my salsa. I'm going to save the stems for something like curry paste. And I'll just cut this nice and fine. Then I need some broccoli. I'm just going to cut off some florets and cut them into bite-sized pieces. Enough for 1 portion. There we go, save that for another day. And then I have some cabbage that's going to go in my coleslaw. This is a quite small head, so I'm going to use the whole one. If you have a bigger head of cabbage, just use half of it. And I'm just going to slice that as thin as I can. And that can go in with the carrots and the diced red onion. And then to go with my burgers and my shawarma, I need some shredded lettuce. I'm not going to use the whole head, I'm just going to take a few leaves off. Because if I cut it in half, for example, then it wouldn't keep that long in the fridge. And I'll just slice those up nice and fine. And we're at 29 minutes, and I'm done chopping. So I'm just going to clean up a bit, and then preheat my Ninja Foodi and stuff, and we'll get the rest going. So I preheated my Ninja Foodi on saute, so I'll just add a little bit of oil. And I'll add my garlic, onion, celery, chilies, peppers, and carrots. And I'll also add a little bit of salt. And I'm just going to let that saute. In the meantime, here I have all the stuff for my salsa. So tomatoes, chilies, shallots, garlic. And I'm going to add some salt to this as well. And some cumin. And I'll add some lime. One thing I didn't add yet was my cilantro, but I need to make a little bit of space first. Just be careful not to overblend it, but quick pulses, and then I can add my cilantro and give that a few more pulses. Just taste it out for seasoning, that's spot on, and it's nice and chunky still. So I'm going to put the lid on, and that can go in the fridge. Meanwhile, the vegetables have softened, so now I'm going to add my tomatoes, and I'll let those soften for a bit as well. And I will quickly work on the coleslaw. So I have cabbage, diced red onion, and carrot. I'll add some salt. And I'll add some pepper. I don't like chunks of pepper in this, so I use pre-ground for coleslaw. For basically anything else, I use fresh ground. Some mustard. I like French mustard. Like Dijon. And some mayo. And I'm just going to mix that up and see if that needs any more mayo or anything. But I don't want to make it too wet because the salt will keep drawing liquid out, so it will get wetter. And this looks and tastes just about right to me. So this can go in the fridge I'll keep stirring it over the next few days, but that is ready to go. Meanwhile, everything for the soup has softened, so I'm just going to add some water. I'm going to take a few sprigs of parsley, put those in. Since I'm going to blend the soup, I want to keep it nice and red. I don't want all that green in there because it will turn brown, so I'll just leave it whole so I can fish it out. And I'll save this for another time. And then I'll switch from saute to pressure cook. Make sure the valve is closed. Soup doesn't take very long, so I'll do 20 minutes. And I'll just let that go. And once I'm done, I'm just going to blend that. I'm not going to film all of that. And then that's all my prep work done for the week. So I can have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. So if you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. And if you would like to see what I do with all of this, you can check out my Instagram where I post every single meal. Or you can check out the video that I post about once a month on here where I show you a week of everything I eat in a day. And I'm currently recording one, so that will be coming out on Friday. That's for this upcoming week. So if that sounds good to you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye for now.